Greetings. Today we are going to discuss the RAS and how to use the reticular activating system to make changes in your life for the better. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. My name is Ama Asantiwa, the Waymaker. I am a virtual executive assistant. I am a transmutation transformation coach. I am a herbalist crystal practitioner, a number of things. But I had a personal experience where I was talking with someone that I knew about a dream that I had, and I'll explain a bit about that later. And in the conversation, we got to the point where they said they didn't know how to let go. And so that sparked this presentation, this video. So here we go. Okay, so I have a video that we're gonna follow along with, and then I'm just gonna do some talking throughout. So we are using the RAS, or the reticular activating system, to change our lives. Okay. Now, the reticular activating system is responsible for our wakefulness, our ability to focus, our flight, fight, and freeze response or reflex, and how we ultimately perceive our world. It controls our perceptions of our consciousness. Now, the RAS, if you look here in the middle at this picture of the brain, this graphic, you'll see that the RAS is near the bottom of the brain stem. It's a bundle of neurons located inside of the reticular formation, which is in the brain stem. The reticular formation is responsible for cardiovascular function, pain perception, sleep cycle, consciousness, and habituation, which is directly linked to the reticular activating system. Okay. So this takes us into a little bit more information about the RAS. As we just said, it controls your sleeping, your waking, and your attention. It's a type of sophisticated filter that acts with your conscious and subconscious mind. It screens out the junk, or what is perceived as junk, by your brain. It acts as an executive assistant. It allows you to focus on what you value. It allows you to perceive a threat. It supports you when you set goals, and it can be programmed. The biggest things I want you to understand here is that it acts like an executive assistant. It allows you to focus on what you value. It supports you when you set your goals, and it can be programmed. And for us, for the purpose of this video, the programming piece is the most important piece, because that's where we're going to take control for ourselves and start to transmute some of the things that our RAS, our reticular activating system, is currently doing that we may not be aware of, or that we may not have control of. So the ways that you can program the RAS, you can program the RAS through the focus of your intention, through meditation, through visualization, through affirmations. You can use emotions and experience to charge your new thoughts. The charging of those thoughts is going to assign a value to them, which your RAS is going to eventually pick up on, and that is how it's going to be triggered to support you. And you can change your environment and your social circles, which is monumental. Changing your environment, changing who you're around, changing who you're talking to. Those are very key moves that you need to make in the process of creating your own reality. Okay, so I want to get down into the nitty-gritty. We need to remember that focus creates attraction. whatever we're focusing on, whatever is consuming our thoughts, whatever we're giving our energy and our effort to, that is the reality that we are perpetuating. That is the truth that we are continuing. So in the event that we are seeking change, we're seeking evolution, we have to take control of that process. We have to take control of what we're giving our focus to, what we are perpetuating with our energy. We are conscious creators, or we can be, depending on how we control our attention and the rest of our life. We have to stop being complacent. Our self-defeating thoughts and habits don't have to become our reality. We can consciously program our universe. Our thoughts and actions are our thoughts and actions consciously producing or helping us to manifest a new way of being? These are critical questions. This is something that you need to ask yourself. So I kind of broke down this process into a few steps using the RAS to change your reality. And the first thing is observing. And that's really big no matter what level of ascension or spiritual growth you're at. Well, even if the change is not necessarily related to spirituality, observation is a huge thing. It's the most important part of any change. You have to create the space to be able to observe yourself independently, without judgment, without association. You have to, some people call it developing the witness, but it's really just stepping into a state of observation. Now, this is going to take some concentration, I guess is a good word, if you are not used to this. As a Capricorn who does a lot of thinking, who does a lot of self-talk, who talks to themselves a lot, observation is something that it comes easily for me now, and it's come more and more easy with each level of growth. The more I'm able to give myself more and more space, the more I'm able to not attach to my thoughts, but analyze and observe them without associating with them, without contributing them to myself, because some of our thoughts are incoming thoughts, which means they don't originate from us. They may originate from society. They may originate from our family members. It could literally be something that we pull energetically from the universe that originated from another human or another being. So we have to dissociate, we have to embrace a certain amount of dissociation from our thoughts and our emotions, our beliefs, to be able to really have a conversation with all of ourselves about whether or not that's something that is healthy for us, whether or not this is something that serves our highest good. Is this something that I want to continue with? So that's really important. Okay, so we're developing our witness. We're going to pull back from ourselves to observe our thoughts and emotions without attachment, without acceptance or judgment. We are not going to just generally or randomly accept things that come into our mind, that just pop into our heads as our thoughts and beliefs. We're not going to do that. So we're going to change that process. We're going to break down that process, and we're going to implement a new screening system for the thoughts and the emotions that we have. So just remember, don't associate or identify with them at all. You just see them You hear them, you take note of them. And this is going to create the space for you to see yourself as you experience life, whether you're interacting with yourself, the different versions of yourself, or you're interacting with others. This is going to allow you to be able to study yourself and to study your brain. That study is going to highlight where you need to grow. It's going to highlight the thoughts and the emotions that you have that you don't like so much, that don't serve you, that don't feel good, that have way too much weight, that aren't going to support you in your next level of ascension. So this is where that's going to come from. It's going to pinpoint all of those binding thoughts, those emotions, any harmful programs that are running, any outdated programs that are running, any thought processes or ways of being that that do not serve your highest good. Okay, so once we are in the process of observation, of observing ourselves, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have to realize it's a step that you've programmed this thought into your RAS, and it is going to take some time to undo this programming. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. And it's not because it can't happen overnight, but if you could switch this overnight, we wouldn't even have to be having this conversation. So that's something that you'll work up to, but it's going to take some time. You're going to have to put in the effort of programming in something new after you unlearn this. So it's a process of unlearning and relearning. Remember, throughout this process, you have to continually give yourself space. The reality that we inherited is just that, a reality that we inherited. We can change our reality. We can create a new, but that process starts within us. That process starts with us taking control of how we interact with the world, how we interact with ourselves, how we perceive the world. The brain is extremely powerful. The body is extremely powerful, and we are able to harness that power by stepping out of our human a bit and living more from the spirit and giving the spirit a little bit more control. Okay, so we're going to unlearn anything that's not for our highest good, and then we're going to replace that unlearning. We're going to relearn new things that do serve our highest good. Okay, so once we have created the space, we're in observation mode. We are starting to begin the process of unlearning, because once we're in observation mode, we're going to start to see and hear the things that we're telling ourselves, the things that we're allowing other people to tell us that we need to let go of. Okay, so now that those things are starting to be highlighted, and we are consciously acknowledging that we're in a state of unlearning and relearning, we're giving ourselves space, then we are going to start to have thoughts about what we want instead of these things, how we want to feel instead, what we should be feeling instead. And we're also going to be coming up, you're going to have memories about where these things come from. So some of the roots are going to start to be highlighted. Now, when those roots start to unearth themselves, and when those things are pointed out for you, then that's when you start to do your shadow work, your rituals. You instill or input or enact all of your right higher choices, so that you can start to deal with those things that you're unlearning, process those things that you're unlearning for good, to release them, and then also start to ground into new habits. Okay, so we want to continually release those old thoughts, everything that's coming up that's connected to those old thoughts, those old programs, those old belief systems. We want to release it energetically. We want to release it. And so there's a lot of ways to do that, and I'm not going to get into all of those ways, but I will say that it simply starts with speaking it. So the first thing you want to do is verbally acknowledge that you are releasing these things. You are releasing the thoughts. You are releasing everything that is attached to the thoughts. You are releasing the systems, the life systems that you have set up or that you perpetuate, that you continue, that nourish and support these thoughts that are actually harmful to you. So verbally, a verbal ritual, verbal speaking, verbal spell binding is one of the biggest ways, but there's a myriad of other things that you can do. And depending on where you are in your personal or spiritual growth is going to determine what your intuition gives you, what your spirits give you in terms of what you should do. Just remember that just as it took consistent effort and conditioning or programming, or fear mongering to get to this point, it's going to take consistent effort on your part to get to a new point. It's going to take consistent effort on your part to birth a new reality. Okay, so you need to speak to your higher self and to your ancestors directly. Acknowledge the weight of the thought and release it. Speak to them about cutting the cords, about supporting you in the cutting of the cords. Acknowledge everything that accompanies those thoughts and release all of that accompaniment. Acknowledge the life and the way of being that you've built around it. Release all of that. Tell your body what you want it to do. Command your temple. Understand that your body is the temple of God. We are each our own universe, and thus we are each our own God, regardless of what your beliefs are about, or your religious or spiritual beliefs are about source or the creator. You have the power of God, of source, of creation within you. We are the all, and so we have the power to tap into that. So knowing that and holding that truth in your body, in your being, in your spirit is going to allow you to transmute these things in a way that you wouldn't be able to if you don't believe it. So if you're continually telling yourself throughout this process that you're not going to be able to do it, that you're not going to let go, that this is not going to work, hell no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because because God is declaring it so. God is declaring that it's not going to work. So it's not going to work. So I say to you, God, declare something else. Declare a different truth. Be courageous enough. Take a risk on yourself. Take a chance on you. Yeah, take a chance on you. Okay, so envision yourself free. Feel the weight gone. And it is just a visualization. You're not likely to immediately just feel the weight, but it's almost like a imagination session. So visualize yourself free. Literally, if you need to, literally see yourself putting down bags and feel yourself free of that weight. Do whatever you need to do to bring this, to make this real in your body, so that at a molecular level, this new truth can start to materialize. Okay? And you want to take actions that directly contradict the reality or the truth that you're working to unlearn. So you want to make sure that everything that you're doing now contradicts the truth of what you're unlearning. It can't be true for you anymore. So you have to live in a way that perpetuates, that continues that it's a lie, because you are living a new truth. You're embracing something new. Understand. Okay, so the next step is remembering the workings of the brain. The brain is very powerful. If you don't know a lot about the brain, I'm not gonna share a lot now. I don't teach about the brain, but I have learned a lot about the brain from a plethora of teachers, so there's a lot of information out there, of course, across YouTube. There's a host of spiritual and new age teachers, I guess, who are sharing the power of the brain. So there's a lot of information out there for you to take advantage of that. But if you don't know about that, you should definitely check it out. If you do know, then you need to consciously remember that all the time. That needs to be something that you're always thinking about, and you need to start to interact with yourself in a way that shows that you know the power of your brain, and you need to start to flex that power. Okay, so remember the working of your brain and begin the process of programming in something new. Okay, now we've already started the process of programming in something new because we're unlearning. We're unlearning, which means we're creating space. It means that we're emptying out of our vessel of all these toxic things. And that emptying out is going to automatically create a vortex for you to consume something else. It's going to create the space for you to manifest something else energetically. And because of the actions that you're now taking on, because of the way that you're controlling your thoughts, because of the way that you're approaching and handling yourself, because of the way that you are changing your life habits and your life processes, you are naturally building a foundation or solidifying a foundation for manifesting positive things with that vortex that you've created. Okay, know that you are your ancestors. Your ancestors are literally a part of you. You are the earth, you are the air, you are the water, you are fire, you are the temple of God. We are each universe, as I said, and so you are God, and whatever you need to do will come to you. You need not do anything unless you deem it so. So there's a lot of things that there's things that I've thrown out in this video. You can do those, you can do other things. It's literally whatever comes to you. If something else intuitively comes to you throughout this process, then that's definitely the thing that you should do for you. Understand that there is no one way for any of this. There is a way for each of us. And as long as you are confident in finding your way, it will work out. Okay, so we are going to acknowledge. Okay, so after we've gotten to that point, the next thing that we're going to do is we're in the process now of rooting into new beliefs. You want to continually or actively seek out proof of these new beliefs, the new processes, the new thoughts, the new emotions that you're developing, the new truth that you're programming into yourself. You have to actively seek out proof of that in your regular life. So if one of the new things that I wanted to program into my RAS is Ama is amazing, then I'm going to look for proof that Ama is amazing in my regular life. I'm going to look for it in my interaction with my husband, my interaction with my children, my interaction with my clients, my interaction with my friends, my interactions with the hummingbirds and the sun. I'm going to look for it everywhere, and I'm going to affirm to myself throughout actively seeking this proof. And this process is going to help my RAS to understand what I value, what this new value is. And then that's going to allow it to start to program in this new belief. Once this new belief is programmed in, and we are continually to actively seek out confirmation and affirmation of the new belief, it's then going to become a life habit. It's going to be programmed in as now a life view, which is exactly where you want to be. Once you get to that point, your RAS is going to naturally just continue to focus on this, because now it understands that it's a priority, it's a value for you. It's going to naturally work to support you in those goals. So you're just going to get more and more and more and more and more of this new thing that you've programmed in, because your RAS is going to naturally support you in this. It's going to naturally feed this because you have done the work to realign your RAS. I think that's a good way to say it. Okay. So just a recap: consciously changing your thoughts and beliefs. You do not have to make your incoming thoughts your outgoing thoughts by default. Okay, incoming thoughts are thoughts that come in. Outgoing thoughts are thoughts that we have accepted and we are now starting to interact with them. They don't have, your incoming thoughts do not have to necessarily become outgoing thoughts. You have that control. Many of our incoming thoughts are the opinions of others. Could be family, could be friends, society, entities, religions, whatever. Observe and analyze all of our thoughts without judgment. Choose not to accept what's self-defeating, regardless of where it originates from. Do not attach to them. This is going to allow you to override your RAS. As you start to create and choose healthier outgoing thoughts, you want to charge them with your emotions, charge them with positive experience, charge them with visualizations and affirmations so that your brain will know their value for you. Start to seek out the proof. Actively seek out the proof of these new thoughts so that their value continually increases. This is going to reprogram your RAS. Okay, and then once your RAS is reprogrammed, it's going to start to help you do this work, and you're going to continue in this path. As long as you continue in this path, you have nothing to worry about. You'll start to be presented with information, experiences, friends, support, just a myriad of factors that are going to allow you to continue to grow in this, and it's going to literally blossom in every facet of your life. So you want to focus your intentions on affirming the new convictions, and you want to build a life. You want to build a life around it. You want to build a life that supports it. And then you want to intentionally ignore anything or anyone that doesn't affirm your new convictions. Don't put yourself in a situation where you've gone through this process. You are actively seeking out support of your new affirmations, and then you take on, you start a relationship, romantic or non-romantic, and the people that you're interacting with are not jiving with the new reality that you're creating. You can't continue to spend time with those people. You can't continue to have conversation with those people. They're going to, bit by bit, their way of thinking, their way of being is going to start to break down all the work that you're doing. Or else you're going to put yourself in a position where you're always having to negate the things that they say so that your subconscious doesn't program it. That's too much work. You don't even deserve it. It's not even worth putting yourself through. Okay, so just a recap of this process. We have our incoming thoughts or outgoing thoughts. These are subconscious and subconscious. They can be conditioning, they can be programming, they can be things that we just thought up, they can be things that we energetically pull from other people. Now, those thoughts become charged. Those thoughts become charged with emotions. Okay, so it's different ways that these thoughts become charged with emotions, but once they do, it affects how you interact with them. Okay, and it assigns a vibration or a frequency. Once these thoughts have a certain level of emotion and you give them too much attention, they become a belief. Okay, and the belief is the pre-RAS programming. It's not yet a habit, it's not yet a life conviction, but you are starting to believe it. Okay, so the RAS has been programmed with this belief. You start looking for proof. It starts looking for proof in whatever you are perceiving, whatever you're interacting with the world. The RAS starts to look for proof of this belief, and once it gets enough, there you go. It's a life habit, it's a life view. Okay, once we start to program ourselves with our new belief, and then we get to the point where we're seeking out proof and we're actively confirming that and affirming that in our life, then our new truth is going to become a life habit and a life view. Now, I have some resources, and it's really just some articles that you can read that kind of talk about unlearning, relearning, gives you more information about the RAS. I'm going to have those. These are all links that I'll have. I'll have a PDF version of this video, and you'll be able to access the links in that PDF version. If you want resources of, if you want support, if you're seeking support in this ascension process, if you are one of the chosen who is actively co-creating with Source to birth a new world, if you are ascending throughout various dimensions and you need support, I am here. You can go to my Patreon, patreon.com/thewaymaker. You can go to my website, lovewaymaker.com, and check me out. Reach out to me there. There's a myriad of products and services that are available. I wish you love, bliss, and blessings. This is no small deed. This is the work of God. This is the work of God. So I bid you power and success in doing your work. And I continue to hold space for you, for your ascension, for the evolution of your generation, and for the evolution of us all. I thank you. I thank my ancestors. I thank Ntaka, my higher spirit. I bid you peace.